Good morning, everybody. I'm not sure whether you are excited or not because our classes are about to be over. Are you excited? Yeah, I don't know. You should listen. You should have listened to Sarah Ali yesterday. She put me to tears when she read her goodbye report. And I'm going to ask her to post this on the page itself. So she felt sorry that it is over, and I felt that she enjoyed writing her reports. And I'm sure some students have the same feelings. Others who want the course to be, done, they didn't feel the same. But this is like the nature of humanity. Now, I need to listen to a report. Perhaps it is similar or different. So Rawan seems to... Okay. So who's ready to report for us today? Only Rawan. What about the others? I might collect your reports today. Do you know that? And yes, Saturday. Okay.
I have a paper, I have a pen, but nothing to say. It is the end of this semester. Maybe it is the last lecture of the poetry course. Last night when I came to write my daily report, I was confused because it might be my last one. So my feeling was very sad because I will miss writing report and response. Actually, this course gives the chance for my mind to imagine, think deeply about everything, and to see the things in another way. The teacher was brilliant, and I enjoyed.
You should talk about your father-in-law in this way. Thank you very much.
And I enjoyed with all the lectures. I'm standing here today to say thank you, my teacher, about that you give us about the things that you gave us during this period, and good luck for all.
Thank you very much. In fact, yes, Rawan, I know, she's very polite and she, wants to balance. I do respect her because, she knows how to put boundaries between me as being a teacher and her father-in-law, And in fact, she's very fussy. She's more fussy even, the other daughter, she's fussy. And they're worried. Are they going to make it? Are they going to pass? They're worried, And even my daughter, the other daughter, is very fussy. And I'm not sure if they are going to pass or not, Because this is, but I pray for them to pass. See what I mean? I pray for everybody, of course. Not for them, but because I feel that all of you are my daughters, Good. Do we have another lovely report? Bad report. In fact, I was very happy when I met what? Reem yesterday. She came to apologize for what she did, but I don't want to bring her today to say it orally. If she wants, to exonerate herself, she can come and say a couple of words orally. You see, if you want, I don't know. I'm not forcing you because she is still shy. But I'm telling you, Reem, you must have courage. You should stand. It's not difficult, It's easy to stand in front of people and talk. Anyway, I don't want to waste more time talking, nothing, nonsense. What about The Soldier? This poem you have. Have you read this poem? Because I asked you to read this poem before futility. Have you read this poem? The Soldier. Yeah, what do you want to say?
I want to say that the poet of this poem is famous of his writing about the war. Mm-hmm. So I think that the whole idea of that poem talks about the war general.
Mm-hmm. So I understand that you read something about the poet before reading the poem. And you read that this man was writing poetry pro or anti-war? Was it pro-war? So he was encouraging war. Was he? He was against war, this man. Okay. Like this man, we are talking about Brooke, Robert Brooke. We're not talking about Wilfred Own. You know, she's talking about Brooke, who wrote The Soldier. Have you read this poem? How many of you have read this poem? Okay. Okay, I told you, this is like... Pardon?
When I read it, I think the poet is calling for war and
Yeah.
for defendant of England.
Yes.
It's praising England.
He's calling for war. Yeah. He's promoting war.
I should die, I will die for England. Just
Yes. If I should die, I should die for England. Okay, good. What other response do we have? Is it nice to die here? Is it nice to die? Because sometimes you feel that death is not intimidating, that death is not frightening. I think, you know, I'm sorry, it seems like most of you have not read the poem. That is like what I see. But let me read it for you. If I should die, think only this of me, that there is some corner of a foreign field that is forever England. There shall be in that rich earth a richer dust concealed, a dust whom England bore, shaped, made, aware, gave once her flowers to love, her ways to roam. A body of England's breathing, English air, washed by the rivers, blessed by sons of home. And think only this of me. And think this heart all evil shed away, a pulse in the eternal mind no less, give somewhere back the thoughts by England's given, her sighs and sounds, dreams happy as her day, and laughter learned of friends and gentlemen, and gentleness in heart at peace under an English heaven. What do you think? Is it beautiful? Why? If I should die? Very sad, huh? But like what would, you know, like he is here speculating that if he died, what should we think of him?
As a hero?
As a hero. As a hero. Who gave his life for the sake of his country. Because his country, England, was like what? You see, we are having England here is like, there is a metaphor. England is like what? You know, what is the relationship between England and the poet? Like his mother, who was taking care of him, you know, who was this and that. This is how you think of me. Think of me as a hero who sacrificed for the sake of his country. So I think when we are having a soldier talking in this way, you know, the idea of death is not becoming very frightening or intimidating. See what I mean? Look here. Do you think this is very romantic?
No.
It is. You know, the idea of death is romanticized. Why? What would happen to his body? It would be mixed with rivers, water, dust. So it will be part of nature. It will be united with nature. This is very romantic. It is very romantic, you know, because when he dies, the body will be mixed with nature. Look, if I should die, think only this of me. What should we think of him? That there is some corner of a foreign field, a corner of a foreign field where I'm buried. That is forever England, which is England. Look here, he thinks of himself as England. There shall be, in that corner, it's like, think that there is some corner of a foreign field, that is forever England, which is England. There shall be in that rich earth a richer dust concealed. So he is referring to his dead body as a dust, but it is a rich dust. It is a rich dust. Why? Because he sacrificed for the sake of his country. And he sacrificed for the sake of his country. Why? Because his country gave him everything. What did the country give him? Look here. Gave once her flowers to love, her ways to roam. Like it gave him love. It gave him, the air he breathed. It gave him life. So, he is returning back the life that his country, look how he identifies himself. This is very patriotic, isn't it?
Yes,
And, I think in our case as Palestinians, we might, feel the same when we are defending, our country. We are ready to die for our country. We are ready to die for Palestine. I think all of us as Palestinians. But we are not ready to die like if we are attacking somebody, like who did nothing for us. We're not ready. This is like, this is not a noble cause. Now here in England, yes, like this, that was the spirit before the war. This poem was written in 1915. And, it was pre-war. No, it was pre-war. It was, 14, 14, it was before the war. 1 year before he died, perhaps, I'm not sure. He died in, that year. But he was writing poetry to encourage people to go to war. And which war he was talking? A war of expansion. A war of colonization. That's why we might not agree. Do you agree with the poet here? Like if he is taking okay, you are ready to die for the sake to defend your country. But not to defend your country and to attack other countries, If we are talking about, but that was part of the colonial discourse of that time. So they were encouraging young men to go and fight in war. A body of England's breathing English air, washed by the rivers, blessed by the sun, washed by its river. My body is washed by its river, blessed by the sun of home. And I think there is a pun by the son of home, because son, in English, in Christianity means son, Jesus, And think this heart, all evil shed away. Think of this heart. It is a heart which got rid of the evil it has. A pulse in the eternal mind. Notice, I'm a pulse. Part of England. Look how he identifies himself with England, his country. A pulse, a body, a heart. Gives somewhere back the thoughts by England given. Giving back, you are dying for the sake country. You are returning back all what you have been given. So it is not a kind of loss. It is a kind of gratitude. Gives somewhere back the thoughts by England given. Her sights and sounds dreams as happy her day. This is England. You know, when we were children, we had this image of the country. And laughter. Learn to French. This is what England gave him. Laughter, happiness, and gentleness. It's like a mother in hearts at peace under an English heaven. All of this I was given. Yeah, so as you see here, this very romantic, the idea of death is romanticized. And that was the spirit before the war. Now, what happened during the war? When the war started, you know, and we're talking about the First World War. The First World War was catastrophic. A lot of people died. You know, the First War between Germany on one side and, you know, the Eastern, and like other countries. 9 million people died in England, see, itself. So it was a bloody war. It was, I mean, more people died in that war, see. Now let's see a poet who wrote only 1 week before the truce, before the end of the war, which was, you know, in 1918, you know, Wilfred Own. Okay. It's called Futility. So I want, like, I'm giving you this poem as a background to understand that poem, okay? Okay, this is like the soldier. Yeah, look at him. I'm not sure. Have you read this poem? Yes. Did you? Yes. So, how did you read the first line? How did you find it? Very musical? Very romantic? Huh? Look here. Move him into the sun. Gently, its touch awoke him once. At home, whispering of fields unsown. Always it woke him, even in France, until this morning and this snow. If anything might rouse him now, the kind old sun will know. Think how it wakes the seeds. Woke once the clays of a cold star. Our limbs so dear achieved our sides full nerves still warm, too hard to stir. Was it for this the clay grew tall? Oh, what made fatuous sunbeams toil to break earth sleep at all? Very, very what? Very sad. It's like, you see, how could you contrast between this poem and the other poem? The opposite. So in that poem, you know, like the image of death was lovely. You see? But here the image of death is horrifying. So here that, you know, in that poem, the one who was speculating, like we don't have death, but we have speculation about death. If I should die, he was not. But here we have a real death. Somebody is dying. So usually, when you have the experience of a soldier from like the battlefield, his experience is different from those who are far from the battlefield. You know, I met, some soldiers, who were fighting in Iraq, some American soldiers, and they were traumatized. They were horrified. The same thing happened like to those who fought in Vietnam. you know, they lived the trauma of the war. Like most of them were psychotic case. Because this is a war, it's not a game. But for some people it is a game. For whom it is a game? Leaders, you know, it's a game. To win some votes, you know, leaders and generals. Like during the war, like soldiers, generals wanted the war to continue because they want to have ranks. But the ordinary soldiers, the ordinary officers felt differently. They saw the horror of the war. Now Wilfred Own was, as you see, a soldier who was in the battlefield. And as I see, he died in 1918. The end of the war. 1 week before the truce. I read most of his collection of poetry, you know. I read the poem Gas, Gas, you know. It is horrible. Because people, like, they were using gas. And people were dying in the trenches. Here in this poem, he's writing about a soldier. And move him into the sun. Do you think he was very, like, move him to the sun? Move him into the sun like this? Or move him into the sun. Is he angry or what? Yeah. Sad and angry? Move him into the sun. Gently its touch awoke him once. Gently. Its touch. Whose touch he's talking about? Yes, who was gentle? The sun? The sun. So what do we call this? What do we call image? What this image? A figure of speech. It is? Excellent. It is a personification. You know, the sun is personified. And because it is personified, it should have a pronoun. Like what? His. It should be his. Because the sun in English take a masculine pronoun. And the moon is like the opposite of Arabic. So she shines at night. Who's she? The moon. Yes. And the sun is he. Like connect always between the sun. So it should be, move him into the sun, his touch awoke him once. So here, I don't know why he is, now we keep questioning, is the sun here a person or not a person? Is the sun animate or inanimate? We don't know, like, okay, but this is a question, you know, I'm just like trying to raise these issues because they will be helpful to you when you study this stylistic analysis. Move him into the sun. Why the sun, do you think? Why the sun? To heal him. Do you think the sun has healing effect? Huh?
The sun is seen in this book as a life giver. So
How? You know? Like, if we are talking about, let's say, a soldier who is injured. In what say, like, is it cold? Is it cold? Yeah. And, you know, sometimes when it is cold, if you put somebody in the sun will invigorate, will, you know, revive him. Because, you know, it is a source of heat. It's a possibility. Move him to the sun. Because the sun, you know, who like, the sun, sometimes it is the sun that makes people wake up. You know, because if the sun, when you are asleep and the sun shines, you know, it dazzles your eye and you get up. So was it like this? Move him to the sun, let's see whether it will wake him up or not. You know?
So that the sun is a source of life for like plants and so for the human beings as we
of course, like here, the sun was seen as a source of life, and they hope that when the soldier, whether they did or they injured, because we don't know until now, this will heal or at least revive him. See what I mean? Move him into the sun. Gently its touch awoke him once. Gently, we don't know. It might be serious or it might be ironic. You see, we don't know now. But it seems like the atmosphere of the poem shows that he's ironic. Move him into the sun. Gently it's awoke him once. Gently, I don't know whether the sun will do anything for him. At home, whispering of fields unsown. At home in England, the sun was whispering. I just saw a film about the sun, and I listened to the sun, not whispering. This is the noise of the sun. It was in a big amphitheater in Pittsburgh in America. It was a movie about the sun itself. And when you approach the sun, it has a beating sound. So tasbih, the sound of the sun is very frightening. And it was real. It was not, like we sing Subhanallah, 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 Subhanallah. This is what I listen to the sun doing that. So now, if I ask, what do you think of this soldier? Is he old or young? How old is this soldier? Huh? How do you know he was young? Like, not Wilfred Own. We are not talking about Wilfred Own. We're talking about the soldier who was injured or died in this battlefield. Does the poem give us any indication about his age? Whether he was young or old? Huh? Do you have any, reference in the poem? Do you have any, implication in the poem about the age of the man? Huh? Like, I think, yes, we have. Unsown, yes. Like the unsown. What is unsown? It is a land which is prepared for seeding. It's a land which, prepared for planting. So, this image of a field which is about to be planted is an indication of a young man who's not married, who's not, who doesn't have children, and so on. And I want to ask you, which is more, shocking when we have a soldier who died? A soldier with a wife and children, or a young one who never saw life, who never got married, who never, huh? Yeah, I don't know, like I'm asking, sometimes, you have to think of this question, which is more catastrophic? I don't know, like, so it's a question I'd like to consider, because some people think that the death, of a young soldier is more catastrophic. Why? Because he has not yet seen life, and this one was, but this, just like saw life, and see, it is different. Always it woke him once, always it woke him, even in France. So still, even in France, until this morning. Now we understand here that he was alive and he died in the battlefield. Until this morning and this snow. Until this morning and this hour, but they see, like, until this snow. This is deviation. This is like syntactic grammatical deviation. We don't say until this morning and this snow. Do we say in this language? Do we say in this, in language, okay, I will wait for you at the storm. We can wait here until the storm, until this snow, until this. We don't say this. Until this snow. If anything might rouse him, so it seems there is a problem. It seems like he's dead. If anything might rouse him, the kind old sun will know. What do you think of the image of the sun here? Is it the same as the image of the sun here? No. How is the sun here? Is it like strong or old, helpless, vulnerable, weak, which can do nothing to him? The old, kind, and I'm not sure if he's serious or not. Is the sun kind? No. Like, look here, we feel, a sentiment of indignance, a sentiment of anger. He's angry. He's indignant. The kind old sun will know. Think how it wakes the seeds. Look at the sun, how it wakes the seeds. So he started to question about how the sun originally, when it shines, like what will happen to the seeds, and because without the sun there will be no plant life. Woke once the clays of cold star. Also, it woke the star because the earth was a cold star, and without the sun there would have been no life on earth. Woke once the clays of a cold star. The clays, the mud. Our limbs, what about here? Now then he, after asking these questions, he looked at the dead soldiers and said, our limbs, so dear achieved, shaped in a good way. So when we look at the body and we see the limbs, the bodies, the hands, the shoulders, and we feel how they are shaped and achieved in a good way, framed in a good way. And he said, our limbs so dear achieved, our sides full nerved, still warm. Are they still warm? Too hard to stir. Why they are not stirring? Why they are stiff like this? It's an image of somebody who is traumatized. Was it for this? The clay grew tall. It's a metaphor. It's a metonymy of the earth itself. Was it for this? Life was given on earth. The clay grew tall because man is made of clay. Oh, what made fatuous sunbeams. Like, look at the sun here. It is fatuous. The sunbeams are fatuous, are futile. Why? Foolish even. To break earth sleep at all. I don't know what made this foolish sun give this life from the origin. Why? I don't know why. So this is like Wilfred Own. Now I think you understand what is happening in the poem. Next time we're going to look at stylistic analysis. The choices of the word, the choices of, lexical choices, syntactic choices, the rhyme, the rhythm, etc. And you have the stylistic analysis within your reader. So hopefully next time we can look at this, and this would be the last class next time. Hopefully.